Hi everybody, Beanmeister22 here, and this video is a long time in the making, and what I mean is I've had this for probably 5 or 6 months, and I just get ready to film it, I just haven't had time, and then I filmed it, and then I lost it on my camera, and oh man, but it is very cool. If you know, I have been collecting, well, I'm done collecting those very horrible quality Daron Best Lock jets. Oh, Daron, great quality, Best Lock, horrible quality. They teamed up to make something that was horrible quality. Oftentimes, if something really good gets mixed with something really bad and it goes together and it's not mediocre, it's really bad. Let's say you have a really good looking cake, but you frost it with fish flavored frosting, it would make that whole cake really bad. That's my analogy of Daron and Best Lock together. Fish flavored frosting on a cake. I told you that so I can tell you this. While I was searching for those brick jets, I stumbled upon the very cool, realistic, collectible Daron die-cast jets. And there are hundreds of them from all airlines with different livery markings. They are amazing. And then there are several other companies that make them. If you had $1,000, you could go online and you wouldn't even be able to buy, well, I mean, you could buy a bunch of them, but you wouldn't even make a drop in the bucket on all the ones that exist. And what I mean is there are so many different jets out there from Daron and then the other companies, and they are painted up. There's commemorative special ones that they only made so many of them. When I was searching for Qantas jets, there was this Qantas jet and this one and that one, and with a zoo picture on it and this picture, and you could spend thousands of dollars and still not have all of them. No, they're not that expensive. Well, they kind of are. It's not that they're so expensive, it's that there's so many of them. So what we have here today is the Daron Herpa Q400. Q400, it's a propped airplane. It's for small jumps. I fly on this all the time in state. And you know my airline of choice is Alaska Airlines. I used to work for Alaska. They're my airline of choice, flying domestically. The current price on this little unit is $27.22 with free shipping, and you'll say that's a lot of money, but look how realistic it looks. So let's say you fly on the Q400, but with a different airline, go online and you should be able to find your airline you fly on in the various jets they fly, whether it's a Q400, or if it's 737 or 767 or an Airbus or this or that or the other, you should be able to find it. Even for the smaller, obscure airlines, they have the collectibles. They only make so many of them, and they're collectible. Bam! They might make 1,000 or 500, and then you got to get them, then they're collectible. Oh, how cool is that? Really cool. All right, so what is a Q400? Made by Bombardier in Canada. Overall length, 107 feet. The height, 27 feet. And there's some inches on here, too. We don't care, because, if it's 27 feet high and 3 more inches, who's going to care, right? Inside of these, I don't currently have any video of inside of one of these. I should probably take some video next time I fly in one of these. The cabins are narrow. You have 2 seats, a small aisle, and 2 seats, and the seats are even narrower than the coach seats on a standard airplane. You got to be really friendly with the dude you're sitting next to, or the chick you're sitting next to. It's still not horrible, because I can get on one of these and fly for 20 to 25 minutes, 27 minutes, and it would take me 3.5 to 4 hours to do that in a car. So yeah, it's worth flying. And I used to say, with what it costs for a ticket and then what it costs for fuel, say if it cost me about $100 to fly one way and the fuel cost me about $30 to drive one way, it was still worth it. Now fuel costs a lot less, but it's still worth it. When it would not be worth it is if the TSA lines are so long that you got to wait for 2 hours in the airport and then you got to wait for, so that may not be worth it. But still, I'd rather sit in a plane and do nothing than have to drive up over the mountains. And not that I don't do that quite often, because I've posted some video and I still have a lot more video to post about going up over the mountains and the snow and the ice and the weather and the trees falling down. So in bad weather, I would rather fly, definitely, than drive. In the standard configuration, these planes hold about 78 passengers. The cabin length is just about 62 feet long, 61 feet, 8 inches. Wingspan, 93 feet. So the wingspan, pretty good sized wingspan, but these are not big planes. Now here's some other specs on these planes which might surprise you. The cruising speed is 414 miles an hour, so 400 miles an hour, that's cool, right? Maximum altitude is 27,000 feet with a range of 1,500 miles. So you could get on one of these and fly from a small airport to a small airport, and you see a lot of these up in rural areas like in Australia or up in Canada or in Africa. Well, do they have them in Africa? Well, in rural areas, I know they have them in Australia, I know they have them up in Canada, and you can fly a long ways. Granted, it's a small airplane, I wouldn't want to be on it for several hours, but if that's the only airplane that can fit on the runways to where you're going up there in the Great White North or out in the outback, well then this is what you gotta fly, right? Now compare this to a 737 jet. That's the other jet I fly on quite a bit. The 737 used to be for short hops, but now they're for longer and longer hops. I fly from where I live to Hawaii. I'll get a 5 and 6 hour flight on a 737 800 or 737 900. The 737, if it's set up in two classes with a first class section and then a coach section, it holds about 160 people, but if you just go one class all the way, it holds 175 people, so you're just cramming them in there. 737s are more roomy now than they used to be. Now, comparing these two die-cast jets side by side, let's see if they're to scale. So, the length of the Q400 is 107 feet, and the 737 is at least 129 feet. Does it look like it's to scale? The wingspan on the Q400, remember we talked about the wingspan? It was 93 feet wide from wingtip to wingtip. 737, it's 117 and a half feet. So, does this look to scale? Cabin width on a 737 is 11 feet 7 inches with a height of 7 foot 3 inches. Now here's where it makes a difference. The speed of a 737 is 514 miles an hour opposed to that 414 miles an hour with this Q400, so 100 miles an hour faster. The range on the 737 is just over 3,000 miles. But compare that 3,000 mile range to a 1,500 mile range with a Q400. So really, these don't appear to be to scale, but they're closer to scale than the 737 was to that UPS 747 one we did with this, right? Remember how that was? So why all this comparison to real planes and real jets? Because if you fly on real planes and real jets, you can get the darn die-cast that looks like the jet or the plane you fly on. Not only can you get the exact same model and version, but you can get the same livery markings from the exact airline you fly on. That's why it's collectible, and it costs so much because they are limited runs. Alright, so it's high quality, it's die-cast, it's fun to play with, it's collectible, it's great. I'm going to collect a bunch of these. A lot of people collect them. Alright, leave your comments in the comment section, and as always, thanks for watching.
Beanmeister 22, the most dangerous man on YouTube.